school, because my break is so long, like it's a 6-week winter break. But when you move back, a place that you've been in for the previous like 4 months feels weird. That first day you move back, like school feels weird. Like you feel like it's a strange town, something like that. But shout out to everybody in here. Red button means we're live. Some Casual Takes, episode 92, hosted by your boy Stephen Pepper, here to casually talk sports. This episode is brought to you by the good people at Nowhere, because no company is sponsoring us today. Got Kieran today. We're going to have a nice 30-minute conversation with Kieran, Kier Fraud, as the streets like to call him, as people like
Mike
to call
Evans,
him.
Mike Evans enthusiast.
Mike Evans' biggest fan. Mike Evans' biggest fan. Kenny Pickett's biggest fan. Did you have class today? I just moved back into school. This is my school little drop. I don't start till Monday, though. Did you have class today?
Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
What kind of class do you have on Friday? Because I have a Friday class for the first time in, like, God knows how long. It's a lab in science. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of scared for that. I like to do, like, all last year I did pods on Friday because I didn't have a Friday class. But now I got to, like, adjust my schedule.
Yeah, today I had a class called Senior Seminar, which is basically a class to like help you prepare for like jobs and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the second class is Social Media and Sports, which is
that's
cool.
fire. Dude, that sounds like a class like I would actually want to do.
Oh yeah, like I take classes that I want to do. So
yeah. Well, sometimes I have a lot of requirement classes I still need to knock out, or some classes in my majors. They're like, I don't want to take them, but like they're available and I kind of have to, or else I'm not going to graduate. So I got to take them. Yeah. But we have some good topics to talk about today. I was telling you pre-show, we got to predict this NFL Conference Championships. Raheem Morris got hired by the Atlanta Falcons, not Bill Belichick. We'll touch on that. And I also want to get my takes on Doc Rivers because he got hired, I believe, on Wednesday. And that was after I had my Wednesday show. And I want to get my takes on that before it just becomes like old news. But I want to ask you real quick, though. Do you think you're a Knicks fan, right?
Yeah.
Jalen Brunson, snubbed or no from the All-Star starters?
If it's just this year, yeah. The dude has been killing it. A couple of days ago, I watched him in person. Dropped like 40 points. I was pretty shocked about that. But like, if you just look from like a value perspective, just this year alone, like I don't get how Damian Lillard's been better than Jalen Brunson this year. Like, yeah, he's a better playmaker, like he is. But like, you look from the scoring numbers from this year to last year from Damian Lillard, like, yeah, he should be an all-star, but not an all-star starter, if you get what I'm saying.
I think I think he scores one less point a game.
Yeah.
If you were to make a Dame argument, he does score one less point a game, albeit his teammate is kind of like Giannis Antetokounmpo, but he is a part of the second best offense in the NBA, and his team has the better record. But all-star starters is weird because it's like it's all fan voting. And I'm kind of disappointed in Knicks fans because New York, huge state, bigger than Wisconsin, more fans than the Bucks. How the hell does Jalen Brunson, one of the probably your best players since Melo, not get hammered in the voting to be an all-star starter? Because I think the efficiency's better. He's the number one on his team. I think he's a bit more impactful this season. I think he should have been a starter, not over Halliburton, because I think Halliburton's been the best guard in the East this year. But he should have been next to Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
I mean, not Halliburton. But he's obviously going to be an all-star, though, and it's all fan voting at the end of the day. It's like the Pro Bowl. Like,
I know I'm a Knicks fan, but I actually think, like, Brunson and Halliburton are closer than people give it credit for. I think people just look at assist numbers. That's, like, a problem. Like assist numbers are nice, but you actually like have to watch the game, how they're getting these assists. And that's not to take away from Tyrese Halliburton. He's an awesome player. I'm just saying, like, he's a little overrated. That's all I'm saying.
Dude, something that's on my sports bucket list before we get into this NFL championship predictions. Something on my sports bucket list that's been since I was a little kid. Game at Madison Square. Dude, that has to be like an elite atmosphere. I want to go so bad. It was like when I went to Wrigley Field to see the Cubs. I want to go to Yankee Stadium. I want to see the Red Sox at home. There's like some stadiums that you just like gotta go, and you just gotta see this team, no matter how bad there are. You just gotta see it.
I want my bucket list is go to Lambeau.
I would like to go to Lambeau, but it's like, but Madison
cold.
Square Garden's in New York. I think that would be a much better vacation. I mean, what the hell am I doing around Lambeau Field in Wisconsin?
Yeah, you get a chili dog, I guess.
Okay, let's get to these picks. First game up is the Chiefs Ravens. So first time in his career, Patrick Mahomes, AFC Championship, which blows my mind, by the way, 6 in a row now. Kind of crazy. First time now on the road. Now, I don't think the road matters because you kind of shut that up in Buffalo, but I just wanted to point it out. 6 straight AFC Championships. First one's on the road. I think he's about, if I look at ESPN, about a 3.5-point underdog to Lamar Jackson in the Baltimore Ravens, who are the number 1 seed in football. Let me make sure I got my odds right. Yep, 4. Oh, it's moved to 4. So the Ravens are the 4-point favorite. And I think part of that has to do with Mark Andrews being activated off the IR today. He will play. I don't know how impactful Mark Andrews will be. First game off injury. Likely he's been hooping. But who do you got winning that game? Because for me, I got my winner in my head. Now, as somebody who likes to dabble in the gambling sphere, by the way, this isn't gambling advice for everyone listening. I don't want to be the reason why you lose $100 over the weekend. This isn't gambling advice. But I have my pick. I wouldn't bet it because I don't want to bet against Patrick Mahomes. I'm taking the Ravens. But I think the Mahomes, Chiefs, Andy Reid, defense, it's moving in. They're pivoting. And I said it last year before they won the championship that Mahomes and Andy Reid are about to be the next Belichick and Brady. It might be like the don't bet against Mahomes, don't bet against Brady thing. I don't know. Who do you picking to win this game?
This is really hard because, like, for all year, I never thought this, like, Ravens offense, was it.
Not at all. Beginning of the season, not at all. I didn't see it.
I never thought it was this good. But over the course of the season, I will say, though, they played a lot of injured level defenses. So the Chiefs defense is a different breed. It's been top 5 this year. I'm going to be honest. I think the Ravens are going to win, but I'm going to pick the Chiefs because, one, until I believe that Patrick Mahomes can actually be stopped, like, I'm not betting against him. I'm sorry. Even though the Ravens objectively are a better team.
Better team, yes.
I just don't think it matters. Like, I don't think it matters.
Dude, it's hard.
It is hard because Lamar just had a great playoff game. First good playoff game in his career, by the way. Anyway, fun fact about the Ravens, if you go over the last 20 years, I think they have the 5th highest DVOA of all time. So this is going to be the hardest defense that Patrick Mahomes has ever played. And
yes, and I was thinking about it. I had a 2-hour car ride from where I live at home to get to my school. So I was doing like predictions to like keep me busy during like I traveled during rush hour. So I was stuck in traffic. So I was doing my predictions and I was thinking about this Ravens defense. I was like, if they win the SB, Ravens, Legion of Boom, No Fly Zone, Broncos, maybe Saxonville if you want to. When I watch this Ravens team, this is one of the best defenses of my lifetime.
Oh, yeah.
Of my lifetime. They don't have like Richard Sherman and all the Seahawks. They had big names. Von Miller's a superstar. They don't really have a superstar. I think their biggest name player is Jadeveon Clowney. I wouldn't even say he's their best defender.
He's like the oldest player.
Yeah, he's their biggest name, but I wouldn't like Patrick Queen and all these guys, Roquan Smith. They're not guys that are like top 2 or 3 in your jersey sales, like Richard Sherman or Von Miller were to their defenses. This defense is legit. Like, this is going to be a huge test for Mahomes, and not just Mahomes. I think Mahomes can overcome anything, but like Pacheco, MVS,
they got
the receivers, Kelsey against that linebacking core. Because shout out to Kelsey. He had a really great game. I think we could agree against the Buffalo Bills. But that linebacker core for the Bills was ass. And you're going to be going against Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen, more versatile hybrid linebackers who will do a much better job locking him up.
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest part of this game is that some of the reason the Chiefs won last year against the Bengals, who had like a really good defense last year. MVS had a really good game, and like people don't talk about that.
He did against Buffalo.
I think
Better than Diggs.
I think that if the Chiefs are going to have a chance in this game, MVS has to at least score.
Dude, MVS got to be a superstar.
Kelsey, like, yeah, he had like 2 touchdowns, 79 yards. Like, he's got to have over 100 yards this game, in my opinion.
Or at least a touchdown, like 70 yards and a touchdown, something like that. Especially with Mark Andrews, we don't know what his production is going to be, but he's going to have to be head-to-head against Mark Andrews, who's going to be the better tight end.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was also driving, Kieran, I was thinking about this while making the prediction. Lamar needs this game.
He needs this game.
I think Lamar really – he needs this game. I mean, don't get me wrong, Kieran. I think we can both agree. Two things can be true at the same time. He was great last week. He was a little tight early, but 4 total touchdowns overall. He was spectacular. But if we're being honest, that cloud hovering around Lamar Jackson's greatness, I don't think it's fully gone away yet. And because when you still look at his playoff resume, numbers are still dropped, below 500 in the postseason, still with more bad games than good. And congrats on being the Texans. Rookie head coach, quarterback. He was at home with the number 1 defense, and Vegas knew he was going to win by double digits. I'm not a Lamar hater. Don't throw me. I hope people don't throw me into that quarterbacky thought point. I love Lamar, and I'm rooting for him. And if he can ball out against Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, who to me are the second coming of Brady and Belichick, and against this Chiefs defense that is the best, not the Baltimore Ravens, to move on to the Super Bowl, then I don't think you can negatively say anything about Lamar. So this game will be huge for him. He needs to ball out.
So my thing is, right, I've been known as Lamar Jackson hater. First of all, I'm really not. I never really hated Lamar.
I don't know. We see that flag in the background. You might be.
I hate the Ravens more than I hate.
Okay.
I trolled Lamar. I've said he was washed in 2021 after he almost had more picks than touchdowns that year.
Oh yeah, if you take that Colts game away, he has more.
Yeah. It was bad. But Lamar needs this game because it'll probably cement a lot of people that he's the second best quarterback in the league.
I was gonna say this to my friend, but I forgot to say it. But I think I'm going to hold that conversation to after he wins, but I think that is a good, get on top of the narrative early, Kieran, because I was also thinking about it too, because from a resume, from a playmaking standpoint, because to me, the only thing holding him back was the ability to pass and the ability to perform in the playoffs. And I would probably still take Josh Allen, but I would take him over Burrow. I would take him over Herbert.
I would take him over Josh, or I wouldn't take him over Josh Allen because at the end of the day, even though that Josh Allen throws more picks, in my opinion, just because you throw more picks doesn't make you more accurate. Even though Lamar has a better completion percentage and all that, but he also is way safer with the ball. He doesn't push the ball down the field as much as Josh Allen. For me, Josh Allen had he had a good game against the Chiefs. So if Lamar has a good game and they win, that shouldn't be the main reason why Lamar is better than Josh Allen, because Josh Allen also played good,
So if Lamar wins this game, goes on to Super Bowl, he's the second best quarterback in the league to you. It all depends how he wins, of course, but if he balls, a couple touchdowns.
Because I said this in a video, right? If Lamar throws 3 picks and they still win,
no, you can't move that. No.
Yeah, that just shows one, the Ravens have a great team. People just look at the receivers and say it's a bad team. No, it's not a bad team. They have one of the best defenses literally of all time. You can look it up. And also, I don't think Todd Monken gets a lot of credit too.
It's a good offense.
Because you have to understand, right? Todd Monken knows Lamar's limitations. He's not going to push the ball down the field. He's going to attack the middle of the field. He's going to get these receivers open. When you have guys like Zay Flowers, Isaiah Likely, even freaking Nelson Aguilar, I guess. But yeah, The Ravens are a good team. It's really hard to put Lamar over Josh Allen because for the longest time, I think since 2020, Josh Allen was like clear of Lamar until this
I
year.
thought so too.
And that had to do with injury and inconsistent play on Lamar's part. But I don't know. It's getting closer for me now.
It is getting closer. But overall, I think I'll take the Ravens to win.
Yeah.
Kieran, NFL record, 8 14-plus game wins, 14-plus point wins against teams that have a winning record, including the postseason.
Yeah.
They blow good teams. This isn't Dallas that either loses to good teams or barely beats them. They dominate the Ravens. They dominate great teams, and I don't think they'll dominate the Chiefs. I don't think they will. Vegas says they won't, but I think they win this game. And if they don't, I think they have to win this game because when you consider the fact that the two teams that could be waiting on them, they've already blown out. So this would be their SB year for sure. Like the Lions and 49ers, they dominated them both. So they got to kind of have to win this game. And I think it will do a lot for Lamar.
So, I think the Ravens are going to win, but I'm just going to pick the Chiefs because if I bet against Patrick Mahomes, I know he's going to win.
You bet against Patrick Mahomes, you're going to kick yourself in the foot if you lose.
I know.
But you wouldn't be mad. You wouldn't be mad if Mahomes loses because you're like, okay, but you'll be mad if he wins.
I'm just saying, though. I'm listen, if Mahomes wins a ring this year, we're going to have conversations. He might be top 2 already. I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking.
I think I'd put him top 2, but I'm going to wait to the Super Bowl because I said after you won the Super Bowl, then he's about like 6 or 7. It's just the longevity stats that he needs to get up, but that awards and the ability to perform in the postseason has just been so saturated that I think that can overcome some of the longevity passing yard numbers.
So
some of the greats.
I have Mahomes at 8, right, all time right now. I can put him. If he win, he has to play well too. If he plays well and wins, it's going to be very hard. I think the lowest he is 4 at that point. Because
to me, I have Aaron Rodgers above him right now, or I did after the last Super Bowl, just because I think I gotta respect the longevity. Rodgers was able to do it for a long time. He has more MVPs, more MVP type seasons.
And it's also hard because I think from a regular season perspective, Aaron Rodgers and Peyton Manning are the arguably top 2 all time. And people don't value regular season as much. And
it does matter to me. So
you have to have value to your team in the regular season. It matters.
Yeah, because you know what helps you in the postseason perform well? Being at home. Well, how do you get at home advantage? By winning games in the regular season. Okay, so let's pivot. Lions 49ers. This game is a little weird to me because Vegas has the 49ers at 7.5, which I think might be a little too much because I think the Lions are really good. What is your take on the game? And it all depends to me. Is Deebo Samuel going to be Deebo Samuel? Because this team's different without Deebo. Not miles different, but I think with Deebo, they're 27 points a game. I think without Deebo, they're 24. The play calling's different. Brock Purdy's a little different without Deebo Samuel. Who do you got win this one?
I got the Niners, and that's not hating on the Lions. I think they have more star power. They have better coaching. Their defense is way better. I think the Lions are going to score points. I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
No,
I would actually take the Lions to cover.
I
think they win. I think my prediction, it'll be there will be up 2 scores, and then the Lions will score at the
backdoor cover.
Yeah, backdoor cover. I'll say the Niners win 27-24 or 27-20. That makes sense.
2 playoff games so far we've seen this Lions defense, and God, are they just so bad in the passing attacks?
Oh,
I mean, Matthew Stafford's Matthew Stafford, and you know how I feel about Stafford, but dude almost put up 400 yards, and he was banged up. He was slanging that ball. And I don't give him enough credit, but still, it's Baker. And what Baker was able to do against his defense, and I know you were probably, a little watch that Mike Evans game. Mike Evans was a little legendary playoff game. I know you saw that. But Mike
Hey,
Evans, what he was doing to Sutton was insane for Sutton's family to be watching that game on TV because Sutton was getting abused. And I think that's going to hold them back. If they can fix this defense in the offseason, I didn't want to take away from a lot of people say all those dumb draft people saying they should have not taken Jahmyr Gibbs. Well, I kind of wanted them to take a DB, and it's for this reason. I kind of wanted them to take a corner because I saw this coming. I'm not saying the Jahmyr Gibbs pick or that linebacker they took from, I believe he went to Iowa at 18. I'm not saying those picks were bad, but I remember coming after the draft saying the Lions, I don't know how great their draft was because I knew their corners were going to be bad. And this was going to ultimately be their demise somewhere in the season. And now they got to the AFC Conference Championship because their offense has been so good. But I think here, when the 49ers can match your talent, now your defense is going to be huge. And they're going to lose. So I'd pick the 49ers. I would pick the Lions to cover. I think this has like a cover material just because offensively the Lions are so good. Kind of like Green Bay. Bad defense, but offensively they're so great that I think they can cover this spread. But, man, Sutton, I don't trust these DBs, especially if Debo plays. Who's tackling CMC?
Yeah. It's gonna be tough, because like one, you're on the road. It's probably gonna be better weather than like San Fran faced against Green Bay.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be. I think they said no rain or anything. It's gonna be like 60 degrees.
I wouldn't be shocked if Brandon Ayuk has like 120 yards and like a touchdown.
I wouldn't be shocked either.
I think this is gonna be a Brandon Ayuk game. I think Kittle will get involved. Might see McCaffrey. Like it might not be like one of those McCaffrey games. He'll probably score, but it won't be a crazy McCaffrey game. Yeah, like Cam's son, dude. Like he was pretty good on the Steelers. I don't know what the hell happened, but
dude, Evans. I'm not trying to bash Mike Evans because I do think he's a great player, but dude, he's not Tyreek Hill. Evans shouldn't be burning you off the bounce, like off the snap. Mike Evans shouldn't get 3 yards of separation on you. No offense, he's not a burner.
Yeah,
he's more of a jump ball receiver. He shouldn't be getting that much separation. So that shows how bad Sutton is.
I will give Baker credit. He's played good this year.
Yes.
Probably has to do with Mike Evans, but no, I give a lot of credit to their offense coordinator because I think with Brady they held back. I think it held back Mike Evans actually, to be honest.
Well, their offense coordinator now left. I believe he took the Panthers job.
Yeah, I think so. Like that. That's good. That's good for Bryce Young. That's good for
hopefully. They need to do a lot in the draft.
They have to do something. They
need to do a lot in the draft because those receivers, they ain't moving the needle. But I think we're going to go I think we say Lions. We're picking the 49ers. Now, it all depends how healthy Debo is. I still think even without Debo, they can still win this game because they have Ayuk, Kittle, and CMC, like you said, where they don't necessarily need Debo. And Jennings wasn't that bad against the Packers and those secondary receivers filling in with Debo. They're not a Debo. The playbook's going to be a bit limited, but I would take the 49ers just because the Lions' defense will be their demise. It was the Packers' demise. It was honestly the Lions' demise in both of their playoff games before this. They were just better than both the Rams and the Bucs, so that's why they pulled it off. But the 49ers and Ravens are our Super Bowl picks. Does this have to do with the Super Bowl color logos that everyone on TikTok is trying to push into some conspiracy theory? No.
So I'm saying it was going to be Tampa Bay and Ravens. It was absolutely.
Why could it not be Tampa Bay? Hey, they're red. Why couldn't it not be Tampa Bay? And anybody who believes the NFL is rigged, I'll just say this. If the NFL was rigged, then Dallas wouldn't be outside of the NFC Championship game for 30 years.
That is so true.
Not rigged.
Bro, there's no way. Like, Dallas has had, like 2016, they were the best team in the league, like, arguably. Like, what was the other? 2014. There is no way that, like,
if the NFL was rigged, then Dez caught it. Like, if Dez caught it, if the NFL's rigged.
That's just on the ref. That's literally just on the ref.
I'm just saying, like, if the NFL check the numbers when Dallas plays, especially in the postseason, Dallas on Thanksgiving, in the playoffs, opening week, on Fox, they have the most views than any other team. And yet the NFL, that is a rigged league, would keep that franchise outside of not the Super Bowl, the NFC title game. And it's not like Dallas has been asked. Like you said, Dallas has had some good teams.
Dude, Dallas was great this year.
Great. Why would Dallas
Bro,
lose to
dude.
Jordan Love?
Bro, like, I'm sorry. Like, the Packers just own Dallas. Like, it's just a fact.
If the NFL was rigged, why wouldn't the NFL not want 49ers Cowboys NFC Championship game? Why would the league not want that?
Yeah.
I guess because Dak sold and started throwing pick sixes. But yeah, Dez would have caught it. They would have ruled Dez a catch. Like to say the NFL's rigged. Dude, their biggest brand by far hasn't been to the NFC title game in 30 years. Why would the league be rigged?
Maybe it's just Jerry Jones. Like
maybe Jerry Jones just like did something wrong and the league just doesn't like Jerry Jones anymore. But still, they pull so many views. Why won't you just lob them an NFC championship game once every like 12 years? Not make them go to the Super Bowl. Just makes no sense. Okay, Raheem Morris, Falcons. So the Falcons decided to go with defensive coordinator Raheem Moore from the Rams to be their head coach. And I think this was not a bad hire. I'm not the biggest fan of defensive coordinators, although you need to get an offensive coordinator, you need to get a quarterback. Those are two things they don't really have. But Raheem Moore has experience. It's something that the Falcons don't really do in the last couple of coaching hires is get a non-first-time head coach. Raheem Moore, been in the Falcons organization, knows Arthur Blank, knows some guys behind the scenes, was the interim to Dan Quinn in 2020, did better than Dan Quinn that year. It's been coaching staff for the Falcons in previous seasons. I think he was on that team that blew that lead in the Super Bowl. He's a two-time champion, and he's not an old head coach. And I think he has a good resume. Do you think this was a good hire really quickly before we talk about the other topic?
I think it was like an average hire. I do give him credit because he went into a bad situation with the Rams and tried to do the best as he could. He made Kobe Turner like really good. Like could be defensive rookie of the year, not even joking. Like he was that
good.
Also like Aaron Donald like helps too to develop guys, but that's not a hate on Raheem Morris. Like Aaron Donald's probably the greatest defender I've ever seen in my lifetime. So like they had a good defense last year. Get a defensive guy. Maybe this defense could even be even better. I would have liked though, considering the offensive talent they had, I would have liked them to go for a different like approach. I thought like getting an offensive coordinator, like maybe like the guy from the Bengals or like anyone else.
Yeah, I would have liked an offensive head coach. I mean, when you're off, I know they just had an offensive head coach, so people are like, they just had an offensive head. Get a better one. Because considering the fact they don't have a quarterback, and if anything in the last NFL season has shown us, defensive head coach, not a good coordinator, not a good quarterback, the team's not going to be good. I think they should have went an offensive head coach, especially when you have a young team. You can't just rely on an offensive coordinator because if that offensive coordinator is good, boom, he's gone. He's gone. When you have an offensive head coach, he's going to be there with that young team and develop them. But the Rams, McVay, Les Snead, they're all vouching for this guy. And I love how the Rams are just such a great culture that if they are vouching for this guy, then he's a good person. I think the team's going to love him. But I don't want to take anything away from Morris because I think he interviewed well and he deserves a shot as a head coach. But to me, Kieran, this hiring speaks more about Belichick to me. Because for weeks after Belichick parted ways, the number one team linked to him was the Atlanta Falcons. All the reports saying Blank loved him. He was interviewing there. He was going to be a Falcons head coach. And they went and got Raheem Morris. So my thing is, Kieran, I think Blank, the owner, liked him. But it's clear that from the front office, from like GM, football ops, scouts, they did not trust Belichick being on this team. And it's nothing to do with just him being a coach. Because I think with Belichick, it's more than just being a coach. And they saw in New England how that last couple of years, honestly, the last decade, especially post Brady, has gone for them. I don't think they wanted that on their team. He's older. He's about 71. He's not young like a Raheem Morris. He's going to come in demanding player personnel say. And if we've seen anything in the last couple of years, the fact that he hasn't been able to draft a non-reserve Pro Bowler in a decade is terrible. And he's going to try to make the Falcons the Patriots by hiring like guys like Josh McDaniels and Patricia. And I don't think the front office wanted to make this Patriots staff.
Yeah. I think in my opinion, like, I think Bill Belichick should retire. I think it's time. Like, he's too old at this point. Like, who in your right mind, like, what franchise would take a 71-year-old head coach?
I don't think he should retire. I don't think it's a bad thing to say he should retire. Me personally, I don't think he will want to retire just because I think he wants that all-time coaching record. And whenever you feel like you have some years left, I have 50, 60 years to get to that point where Belichick's at. But if you feel like you have years left in the tank, it's kind of hard to retire. And I think he wants that record. And to who would want Belichick? If you're a Falcons, I never liked him going to the Falcons in the first place because this is a young, rebuilding offensive team, although their defense was better last year, to be honest. I think if Belichick, and it's fine for him to wait a year, because my thing with Belichick is he isn't a guy that you want coaching a young rebuilding team. He's, at this stage in his career, is a coach that you should hire if you're a coach away. Like if the Chargers didn't get Harbaugh, I would have liked Belichick in Los Angeles. But think about next year. Cowboys, Eagles, possibly Buffalo, if they all open up, and because they're going to open up because they believe those teams are just a coach away, then Belichick can go to those organizations and contend for a Super Bowl. But a young rebuilding team, Commanders, Falcons, no. I don't want a 71-year-old head coach, defense, hard-headed, Patriot way, shown an inability to draft on a rebuilding roster. I don't want that guy on my team. I don't want that guy developing my quarterback. But if you're a coach away, because Belichick still can coach defense, Belichick can still win you games defensively. I think they lost 3 games when their opponents scored less than 10 points or less, which is insane. He's a coach away guy for me. Like, if you're just a coach away, I wouldn't mind a Belichick. And I thought the Chargers, if they didn't get Harbaugh, that was going to be the place for him. But, it filled.
Yeah, it is what it is. Like, I'd say he has nothing to prove at this point. I don't think him going to a different team really changes his legacy. I think everyone knows where he sits at, really.
I think it would change his legacy, though.
It might. Like,
because that's something that I wanted to bring up, too, just to share my take on it. But first, I think it would change his legacy because I think people, if he could win post-Brady, win without Brady, at least go to a championship game or something like that, that would add to his career. Because I think now, if you were to have this conversation in 2017, who's the greatest coach ever? It's Belichick. I think most people still think Belichick's the greatest head coach ever. But these last couple of years, I don't think as many people would say Belichick today. Or they would be a little more hesitant to say Belichick or put an asterisk next to Belichick.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. Like, when you think of Don Shula, like, yeah, he won two Super Bowls, but he didn't win shit with Johnny Unitas and Dan Marino at quarterback. Like, should that be a knock on him? Like, Bill Walsh had like Joe Montana, I think, his entire career. Like, we haven't seen anyone else besides Bill Walsh and I think Steve Young.
Yeah, but to the casuals out there, Kieran, the people who can't see behind that.
And I mean, like, I will say this: Bill Belichick is the main reason why the Giants won 2 Super Bowls. He was the defensive coordinator on those 2 Super Bowl teams for the Giants.
I thought you were talking about the Giants that beat the Brady's.
No.
I was like, what?
I'm talking about 1986 and like.
Oh, I know what you're talking about now. Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about now.
They held to like 49ers, I think, to 3 points. They held like the Washington, like Joe Gibbs. He's one of the best offensive minds of all time. I think they held them to like 8 points. Like, like the dude like won before Brady, won with Brady. I would like him to win after Brady, but
Let me throw this at you.
yeah.
While we're sticking on the Belichick post Brady legacy topic, because with Belichick struggling to get a job now, I saw on Twitter, I mean, for the last couple of years, it's always been, can Belichick as a head coach do anything without Tom Brady? And it sparked again last night with him not getting the Falcons job and people seeing him as a bit of a Brady merchant as a head coach. But when I was watching over the weekend, Kieran, on Sunday, I saw the Bucs in the playoffs, divisional round team and I was thinking to myself when I was laying on my couch watching that game, wasn't Brady on this team last year? And now they're in the divisional round?
People forget about that.
People forget that this team, Brady was on it just last year.
And they were very close to the NFC Championship game. Very.
Baker interception away from changing things. Let me say this to you before we move on to Doc Rivers. I think the whole Brady got a ring without Belichick and Tampa argument can be a bit disingenuous. Is it valid? Yeah. But I think it needs context. Because Brady, Belichick has struggled to consistently win post Brady because the Patriots have been talentless. The dynasty was coming to an end. Brady saw the writing on the wall. That's why he left New England. And let's make this clear, Kieran. Brady chose Tampa. It's not like he inherited this bad roster via trade. He signed there because he knew how talented this roster was. And the Bucs before Brady showed up, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Evans, Godwin, good O-line, Vita Vea, and they had a top 5 offense before Brady. This was a playoff roster that went 7-9 and was held back because they had a quarterback who threw 30 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, when you add an MVP level quarterback in Brady over Jameis, of course you're going to be a contender. But the Bucs, I think what people don't give the Bucs enough credit is outside of adding Brady, they had a great offseason. I mean, they drafted an immediate all-pro tackle in Tristan Wirfs. Antoine Winfield became an immediate starter. He's now an all-pro. They added some of Brady's favorite targets, Gronk, AB, playoff Lenny. I mean, this squad was so talented that Brady, people kind of sweep this under the rug, was mid during the NFC run, in my opinion. He was mid. I mean, he threw 3 interceptions in a row in the NFC Championship game, and they still won. And then he got to the Super Bowl. He won the Super Bowl. All credit to him. But that gap in talent between him, that advantage that he had in the Super Bowl over Mahomes was insane as far as talent, as far as help.
Yeah, like
and 2 years later, Brady retires, and that squad is mostly intact. So in comes Baker Mayfield, who was on 4 teams in the last 2 seasons, goes to that same team that Brady just left and won as many playoff games as Brady did post-Super Bowl. I think that is – listen, I think Brady 60-40 overall in the New England dynasty as who was more impactful, him or Belichick. Now, if you want to break the dynasty down as far as sections or by year, who was more impactful, because I kind of think Belichick in those first couple of years before Brady was even an all-pro. He won 3 Super Bowls before being an all-pro, Tom Brady. 3 Super Bowls before being like a Pro Bowler. That was mostly on Belichick's defense, and Belichick was an excellent drafter back then. But I think towards the end, especially in the middle in the MVP seasons, it was mostly Brady. But I think it's a bit disingenuous, although it's a valid point to point out that Brady won without Belichick, but the talent disadvantage, and now Belichick put some of that talent on himself because he was the one who drafted the Patriots, the talent disadvantage that Brady had in Tampa clears the talent that Belichick had in New England.
So my thing is, right, like when like Brady was leaving in 2019, like 2020, I think he knew that like he can't be like the focal point of the offense anymore.
He saw the writing on the wall. I even said it when he left in 2019. I said it. I pointed it out. He saw the writing on the wall. Oh, you got anything to say?
Oh, sorry. I was lagging a little bit. Sorry. Here.
Oh, finish your point. Finish your point about Brady leaving.
So like my thing about like Brady, right, in like 2019, I think he knew that like he can't be like the focal point of like an offense anymore because like he was getting older, right? Like, so
He
he
wasn't
saw
that good
this.
that year too.
He saw the situation in Tampa, who had Mike Evans at the time was like top 10 or like borderline top 10 receiver.
Pro
You got
Bowler at least.
Chris Godwin just had like a top 5 wide receiver season in
Yeah, both of
2019.
them were Pro Bowlers.
Um, uh, who's the running back? Who's
Oh,
not
they had
for
I forgot his name. He's no
Ronald
longer
Jones.
Ronald Jones. Yeah,
Ronald Jones. They bring Fournette, sign AB, trade for Gronk. They knew that Brady could not carry this team on his own because you saw in 2022, yeah, they went 8-9 in probably the worst division I've ever seen in my life.
terrible.
But Baker Mayfield might fit this offense more because he's a way stronger arm than Brady, and that's why like you see the results that you get with Baker. Like when you have a deep threat like Mike Evans and a guy who could run routes like Chris Godwin. So, and like going to Belichick, right? Like there was a lot of trades that Belichick did after Brady left. He traded Stephon Gilmore. There was like another trade I think he did. Forget what it was, but like he knew that like his time in New England was running out after Brady left. My thing is the reason he didn't get signed by Atlanta, if he was just going for the head coaching job, there's no doubt in my mind that Bill Belichick would be the Falcons head coach right now. No doubt in my mind. Because in my opinion, Bill Belichick, the head coach, is different from Bill Belichick, the GM.
Yes.
I think Bill Belichick, one, can still coach in this league. Two, the league has evolved with like offensive advantages being way higher, and it's harder to be a defensive coach in this league now. So that's why I think that's part of the reason why Belichick's defenses aren't as good because one, like back in the 2000s, like offenses weren't not more advanced than today. So yeah, yeah, I think Bill Belichick can be a great head coach. I don't think he should be a GM. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why the Falcons said we good. I think their front office was like, I don't want this man touching my rebuilding roster. He can be our coach, but I don't want you having this say and undermining our jobs drafting players. So okay, so let's move on to
Basketball.
Yeah, let's talk Doc Rivers a little bit. I will say one more thing to the Patriots. I mean, not the Patriots, the Bucks. They were a top 5 offense, top 3 or 4 offense before Brady showed up. By the way,
They literally just did need a guy who threw 30
interceptions. That's it. They would have been what, like 10-6, like 11-5.
It was 7-9.
They went. It would have been like 10-6, 11-5 if Jameis Winston didn't have like CTE, like didn't throw 30 interceptions.
Yeah. Hey,
7-9 is not bad, but they were.
They might be in the Super Bowl, you know. Oh wait,
probably not. Jameis is still Jameis at the end of the day. Brady definitely. I like I said, Brady definitely increased their ceiling. He made them contenders, but it's not like the roster was bad at all. Okay, let's talk about Doc Rivers. So Doc Rivers, of course, gets hired by the Milwaukee Bucks after the Bucks fired their rookie head coach Adrian Griffin. He got hired in the middle of the week. I didn't have a show. I really want to talk about this. And today he started to fill out his staff, started hiring a couple assistants to be alongside him. And, you know, social media, when they hired Doc, the immediate reaction is like, this dude's a loser. What is Milwaukee doing? He's making a mistake. And I don't disagree. I think Doc Rivers is a loser. I think he's had many great rosters that underachieved. And Milwaukee made a mistake. I don't think Milwaukee made a mistake signing Doc today. But if you think Doc was a mistake, I think you have to go back into June when they hired Adrian Griffin in the first place. I think that was the bigger mistake. But to me, listen, I 100% understand why the Bucks hired Doc Rivers over an assistant. Is Doc a generational underachiever? Yeah, grass is green. But if you wonder why Doc keeps getting elite coaching job after elite coaching job, despite being fired a dozen times, it's because he checks to me these 3 important boxes that the Bucks desperately needed today. Number 1 is this. Say what you want about Doc Rivers, but you cannot deny his experience. I get that he only has 1 title despite coaching many great teams. And Kieran, you know it's crazy. If you were born the year Doc won his first and only title, you would be eligible to get your driver's license this year. It was that long ago. But outside of Pop, Kerr, and Spo, I can't think of any other coach in my lifetime with more playoff wins. Number 2, and I think this one is more important as to why he's still around other than that 08 ring, is his likability. Doc is respected amongst the entire league, from front office to former and current players. They love Doc. And I think he'll have immediate buy-in from his likability with the Bucs and no locker room drama, and something that they didn't have. And they just had no buy-in and a lot of drama from Adrian Griffin. I think that's the difference. He goes to Milwaukee. They have immediate buy-in from the locker room, no drama. That's something that they lacked with Adrian Griffin. And number 3, defense. Now, Doc is not the best, massive, big brain, X's and O's defensive guy in this league. But I think he's proven in his entire career that if you give him good enough defensive talent, he can coach a good defense. And the Bucs right now are a bottom 10 defense overall and the worst in defensive transition. And I know losing Drew Holiday doesn't help that at all. But to me, Griffin had no idea how to get this defense to at least average. I think with Doc's experience and likability to get buy-in, he can kind of clean up the defense. So, Doc, underachiever, right? I mean, who has more blown playoff series leads than him, Kieran? No one. How many 3-1 leads, 3-2 leads, 2-0 leads can you blow as head coach? I think Doc is a loser. Does he kind of cap the Bucs championship ceiling? Yeah. But I think if you were the Milwaukee Bucs, I 100% understand why you fired Griffin and got Doc over the field or an assistant. Because to me, those are 3 boxes that he checks. That is why he still gets head coaching jobs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Doc Rivers, man, like been watching him for a while. I don't think he's a bad coach.
No, he's not a bum.
He's not a bum because I see those like series, right? There's some series where I understand why he lost. Like I understand last year why he lost to the Celtics because objectively the Celtics were a way better team, in my opinion at least. Yeah, he's had like 3-1 lead against the Rockets. Should have won that. Should have won
Bubble.
Bucks at home. Lost in Game 7. He's had a lot of he's had a lot of he's had a lot of holes like lows, but his highs have been good. I think his best coaching job was 2019 again with the Clippers. I thought that roster was not that good. And
the year where they had rookie SGA, Patrick Bev, Lou Will. Yeah.
I thought that year he was actually like one of the best coaches in the league. And then obviously blowing a 3-1 lead to the freaking Nuggets the next year.
That's bad. That one was
I will say this about Doc Rivers, right? He's going to help this defense so much because Adrian Griffin was just so bad. So I think Doc Rivers has a little knowledge of defense and knows how to play transition defense and knows how to coach it. Adrian Griffin cannot do that at all. When you have a guy like Giannis and Brook Lopez, the fact that you are a bottom 10 defense is really, really concerning.
I think, Kieran, that's a great point. When you have 2 DPOY players who could be at your 4 and 5, who can lock down a paint, Kieran, they're one of the worst paint defenses in the NBA. That makes no sense. When you have 2 DPOY candidates every year sitting in your paint, and you're one of the worst paint defenses. Listen, I think Griffin got hired before the Drew Holiday trade, and he probably had a defensive scheme in mind with Drew. But, dude, that goes out the window, and you immediately need to make an adjustment. And, Kieran, like I said, I don't think Doc Rivers, and you said it as well, is the biggest defensive mind in all of basketball. No. But I think he's going to get much more buy-in with his team on defensive effort because part of that, like you said, you got to clean up. You got to put your guys in better positions like Giannis and Brook Lopez. But there's reasons why they're all out of position. It's because their perimeter defense, their point of attack, is dreadful. Now, Lillard, never known to be a good defender. No one's saying that. But sometimes when you watch the Bucks, it's like, dude, Lillard's not even trying. Like, not even trying. And part of that,
I will say,
and part of defense, I don't care how bad a defender you are. And this doesn't go to the NBA. This just goes for basketball entirely. And I tell people this when they hoop. You don't have to be the most athletic defensive player ever. You just have to try, and you can be average. And I think Doc is going to have Damian Lillard more bought into trying on defense than Adrian Griffin ever will.
it's really sad because I said this about Dame a couple of years ago. I think he's one of the worst defenders in the league. Like, he doesn't, like, it's just zero ever. Like,
No effort.
There's obviously guys like Isaiah Thomas who are like a massive disadvantage because he's just so small. Dame's not a very small guy. Like, you could try.
And Dame's not unathletic. Dame can move. Dame's fast. Like, this isn't Austin Reeves, dude. At least Austin Reeves is trying.
Yeah, like Gabe Vincent, like, you know, like last year. Like, bro, Dame is one of the worst defenders I've ever seen in my life. Doc better get in his head because I know Doc, even though like people call him a clown show, you know Doc's going to be in his ear like 24/7.
And players like Doc. I think that's also a most important thing. Yeah. Why he keeps getting head coaching jobs despite getting fired after every single time he's been a head coach. Players just like him. Like, across the league, former, current, they like him and they'll listen to him. I mean, unless you can think of like a story where players just clearly aren't listening to Doc year one or year two, then I'm sorry for like not missing that. But players like Doc. Like,
I think some of the blemishes on Doc, some of it's not his fault. I think even though we blew a 3-1 lead in 2020, you cannot tell me that was not
pandemic P.
That was definitely on Paul George. That was terrible.
But what about the 3-1 lead against Orlando and Detroit? Because to me, I don't think Orlando should have ever been up 3-1 against Detroit.
I don't give him that much slack because one, the Magic were an 8 seed.
They were never supposed to be up 3-1. They should have closed it out. But T-Mac was awful down the stretch.
Yeah, he was never that good. The Clippers one, I really give him, like, that one's bad. That one's really bad. Because, dude, you're up 3-1 and you objectively have the way better team.
Yeah, I think also from sitting on the sideline this year and being on the broadcast booth, Doc Rivers has been able to watch the Bucks. I think he was also a mentor, per reports, to Griffin. Watch the Bucks from an outside perspective, understand their flaws, be unbiased. And I've heard him talk about the Bucks before in articles and stuff. I think he understands the Bucks' problems.
Yeah.
And I was also thinking about this yesterday when I was driving to school and thinking about the Milwaukee Bucks. You know, they're the second best offense in the league. They don't feel like it. This team.
Yeah.
When I watch some of their games, their offense looks a little stagnant. Dame and Giannis still don't know how to play with each other on a consistent basis, and that would get better over time. I think for a team to be second in offense points per game and not be close to their ceiling, that's dangerous. And I think Doc Rivers knows that and will do a much better job of getting Dame and Giannis in better sets to play off of each other. And that too.
Yeah. I think, like, even though, like, Mike Budenholzer is not the greatest coach in the world, you know he would not let this happen. Like,
no, he won't adjust to the playoffs, but he'll do better than Adrian Griffin.
Yeah, I'll give him credit for that 2021 ring, but anyway, he's mostly honest. But anyway, we'll see what happens. I'm expecting a second round exit again.
But you were probably expecting a second round conference finals exit to be in the season. I mean, I think this team is better than Boston. I mean, I think Boston's better than this team.
It depends who they play in the second round. Because if they play like,
it's Philly today, the season ended.
That is really funny because, like, I could just scream, Joel Embiid second round. It doesn't sit well, but it's also Doc Rivers, you know.
Listen, could Doc somehow mismanage this team in the postseason, yeah.
That'd be really funny if Doc Rivers beats Philly. That'd be so funny.
But given where this team is, as far as hiring a rookie head coach, which never made sense to me, a rookie head coach to coach a championship or bust team that won 2 years ago and ever since has been expected to repeat it, you're asking him to be in over his head and have no idea what he's supposed to do. I always thought they should have got Nick Nurse. I think Giannis probably put pressure on him per reports to get Adrian Griffin. I thought they should have got like a Nick Nurse in the offseason in the first place. Not even been here to get Doc Rivers, but
Giannis gotta like shut up for like and let the owner do his job. Or general manager.
Well, do you have any other takes to get off your chest, Kieran? Because I got all my topics done, checked off.
I was wrong calling Jahmyr Gibbs a bust, even though I still
Jahmyr
think it's bad.
Bust?
I didn't call him a bust. I didn't call him a bust. I just thought his value as the 12th overall pick wasn't that good.
Okay, I thought so too. I said at 12, dude, you gotta take a corner. This defense isn't good. But I never thought Jahmyr was going to be a bust. I thought he was going to be a great complimentary running back behind Montgomery. I never thought he was going to bust. The positional value was not crazy, but
I didn't expect him to be this good already. You know?
No, I didn't either. I thought Bijan was kind of going to be that superstar.
Yeah. Also, my take on Stephon Diggs, bro.
What was your take?
I don't think he's top 7 right now, bro. Like, it's hard. It's like hard, bro. He's been bad since October. He doesn't show up in big games, and like, I'm not like a lot of people are getting mad at me. Like, I'm in this group chat, right, and they're talking about Stephon Diggs, like, oh, he's better than Tyreek Hill. I was like, bro, Stephon Diggs could be a better route runner than Tyreek Hill. I do not care, but if you're talking about like an overall impact on a game, it's not even close. It's Tyreek Hill.
So could you name 7 receivers better than not Tyreek? Can you name 7 better receivers than Stephon Diggs right now?
Yeah, I think I could. It's gonna be tough, but Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, and did I not say someone? Did I say everyone?
That was 6. Right? So that's 6. I'm trying to think of another receiver that I would put over Diggs.
I'm really high on Brandon Ayuk
because I don't know if Cooper Kupp used to be top 5 to me, but I don't think I'd put Cooper Kupp top 5.
I mean, I'm really high on Brandon Ayuk. That's just me. I am high on Puka now, even though I don't know how good he actually is.
This season just wouldn't. This season, as far as Diggs stock, though, I'm not gonna get up here and disagree because this season of Diggs stock did not look good. I think the hands didn't look that good this season. I mean, the playoffs showed he was dropping a lot of passes. His ability just to get open also hasn't been as good this year. And I don't think, as for a number 1 receiver, you can say, oh, double teams and all you want. All number 1 receivers get double teamed.
Yeah.
And the dominance on the game this season, outside of a couple great games early on the year, how long did he go without 100 yards?
I think since October.
Let me
I was still 21 then.
Let me I'm looking at stats so I can get the amount of games he went without 21 years. Stephon Diggs went Diggs went 13 games, including the postseason, not without 100 yards, without 90 yards.
Yeah,
and the targets, for the most part, have been the targets have gone down by 1 or 2, but that's about it.
Yeah, it's rough, you know.
And in the playoffs, him as a playoff receiver just hasn't been it. I mean, when you're on that stage, Kieran, Look at all the other teams with great wide. You want your best wide receiver to dominate and take pressure off your quarterback.
And like, I don't
Josh
want to.
Allen shouldn't be asking Shakir and Kincaid to be his best options. Josh Allen shouldn't be asking Gabe Davis in 2021 to catch 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, dude.
2
Like,
games against the Chiefs in the postseason, last 2. Stephon
you
Diggs.
could say double team all you want, but like the dude has Josh Allen. He doesn't have like freaking Jimmy Garoppolo.
Kieran, last 2 games against the Chiefs, less than 30 combined yards. Last 2 playoff games.
And Josh Allen has like 125 passer rating, I believe, in that game.
Yeah, whatever. It's not like Josh Allen is just getting clamped up and throwing 3 picks. But
I think he's thrown 1 pick in 3 of those games. 1.
Yeah, and that was the first game. And Stephon Diggs was pretty good. That was like the first year they linked up, and that was when Diggs was an All-Pro. But that was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But I'd probably put him at 7.
Maybe. I don't
know if I would take Ayuk in them or Puka Nacua. Next season, let's talk next season. Puka Nacua year 2, I'd start thinking about him. But I think everyone else you said, especially CeeDee Lamb to me is better now. Beginning of the season, I would have taken Diggs. CeeDee Lamb to me is better now.
I mean, I'd CeeDee wide receiver 8 last year, so he's moving up. He's really moving. He had one of the greatest receiver seasons of all time, and no one talks about it because Tyreek Hill was better.
Would you take Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Not yet.
Okay. I'm just throwing out before we end. Just the last couple.
DJ Moore was really good this year.
What about Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen? No. I'm looking at any of the receivers. Yeah, I don't think there's that many receivers I would put over Diggs.
DJ Moore, like, I'm high on DJ Moore. I'm high on Ayuk. Debo. Honestly, Debo.
As a receiver, no, but overall playmaker.
You know, like, I hate this, like, receiving, like, argument for Debo. Because he is a receiver. I don't care.
He is a good receiver, but I think his value comes on the overall playmaker.
I mean, like, yeah, but, like, receivers are supposed to be playmakers.
Yeah, but he's a little different of a playmaker from everyone else. I get it. Debo's interesting. But I think
he's like an anomaly as a receiver. I don't think we're gonna see like this kind of receiver again. Because like no one can do what he does, you know? And it's a very valuable trait where you're that versatile, in my opinion. You can open up the backfield, like you can help other guys get open because you're that big of a threat.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we're an hour in, and
Okay.
I haven't had lunch yet. I'm starving. And it's Friday, and I got an oldest to edit before I start my Feel Good Friday. Listen, Kieran, I appreciate you for coming on.
Yeah.
And
thanks for having me.
Diggs take. Now I'm gonna think about the Diggs take. Start watching some film. I think it's a really good take, to be honest. I don't know if you put that on your channel yet. I think you could spark a conversation there. But to everyone who's watching, to everyone who watched on Twitch, who will watch on YouTube later on, thank you everyone for listening to 92. It's 92.
We're almost to 100.
Almost 200 of the Some Casual Takes podcast. Follow my social media. Stay updated on all things related to the show. Some Casual Takes is the handle for everything. And until next show, which will be Monday, when I will come up here and talk about the championship games. Lamar Jackson, watch him over the weekend. Legacy will be on the line. And Brock Purdy. I don't really care about the NFC, dude. The NFC games just aren't moving me. Whoever wins the AFC wins the Super Bowl. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think we can agree.